I'm Dominique Parkey. My journey with Kids Minds Matter started when I shared my story with other teens as part of the inaugural Normal is Overrated event in 2019. Since then, I've continued to serve as a Kids Minds Matter advocate and spokesperson. I am deeply honored to be part of this initiative and ongoing efforts to create awareness, foster partnerships, engage supporters, and expand services that address the growing mental health epidemic among kids and teens in Southwest Florida. As Kids Minds Matter reaches its 7th anniversary, this is a time to reflect on all that's been accomplished since 2016 and envision the future of children's mental health care in Southwest Florida. Let's start by reflecting on what our amazing community has been able to accomplish together. Since its inception, Kids Minds Matter has been working to create awareness about the immense need for pediatric mental and behavioral health services in Southwest Florida. Part of a national epidemic, our region, like so many others, lacked the resources to meet the needs of children and young adults. But Southwest Florida finally found the champions it needed in Susan Goldie and Scott Spiesel.
Scott and I decided to move to Southwest Florida, and when we did, we knew it was really important to get involved in the community. Even though we have a vacation home elsewhere, this was where we committed to be residents of Southwest Florida. And so before the Golisano Children's Hospital was even completed, we went up to the hospital and met with the medical director. And when we asked what the greatest need was going to be for the Children's Hospital once it was open, he told us he needed a mental health department. And we were perplexed. We weren't sure what that meant, but we knew from our own family experience that having pediatric mental health care available and providers available saved the lives and really made a difference for all of the children in our family.
And knowing that our daughter life was absolutely saved by having good quality health, we decided we had to do something to help those less fortunate in our community.
And so we got in the car and looked at each other and said, we need to do this, and that was the start of Kids Minds Matter.
They started by engaging supporters in this cause, which is near and dear to their hearts, and they raised funds to get Kids Minds Matter started through their annual Secret Garden Gala.
When we started, we were the only two people doing this, and we realized pretty early on that we needed to provide some seed funding to be able to get things started. We also went out and spoke to various community groups. We've probably spoken 100 times to different community groups to raise awareness for the need for care, and then also to go out and do the fundraising.
Scott and Susan engaged strong regional partners to help bring their vision to life, and the funds they raised empowered an experienced leader, Dr. Paul Simeone, to spark what has evolved into Kids Minds Matter movement.
I came here in November of 2018. Kids Minds Matter was up and running kind of in a small way at that point. And then when I came down, I sort of joined the ranks. Kids Minds Matter is way more about the community, about the volunteers, the people who have put their heart and soul into that. In 2018, we began to develop the strategy. The strategy was to both enhance and augment all the various services at Golisano, in addition to which to go out into the community and sort of spread the word, provide a certain kind of advocacy, a point of view about pediatric behavioral health, and to lead, resource, and convene a number of partnerships in the community. When I first got here, I think Golisano had 4 pediatric behavioral health providers. We now have, I think, upwards to 40. And over the last couple of years, what we've done is we've increased the visit rate by about 1,500%, which is really quite extraordinary when you think about it. None of that could be done without the generosity and goodwill of our donors. We have a Kids Minds Matter Scholars program through FGCU, so we give 10 kids a year significant tuition reimbursement so that they will think about sticking around when they're pursuing their pediatric behavioral health careers. When you set up a foreign team like that and you get to bring people here who then are encouraged to stay, that addresses the kind of recruitment and retention problems that we have. Normal is Overrated is a student-run half-day conference where we get 3 students who want to tell their behavioral health stories. And these are the most moving stories I've ever heard. It's my favorite of all the events that we do, and they provide a certain kind of model for us to think about things in a much less stigmatized fashion. What we've also done is we've been very invested in expanding our clinical reach. So we now moved into Bonita Community Health Center. We're up in Lehigh. These will be clinics that will have several behavioral health providers, and at the same time they'll become the basis upon which to provide telehealth behavioral services to our community.
There's no denying we've made a lot of progress already, but now let's reflect on recent impacts to children's mental health in Southwest Florida.
During the pandemic, when we started our program, there was a lot of need regarding children and their mental health crises. It was very evident that we needed something in place to kind of help the parents navigate and bridge through these new diagnoses and these new possibilities of what may be going on with their child. Fast forward to this past year, where Southwest Florida endured a massive hurricane and devastation of loss everywhere. We saw it almost rapidly increase again. Just when we thought that we were seeing the light at the end of the tunnel through the pandemic, the numbers started to spike. Alone in November of this past year, there was 139 kiddos under the Bay cracks alone, when we were not even at those numbers or even close to those numbers prior to the hurricane. We continue to see high numbers in the hospital, and we continue to see the need. A lot of the needs that have come to the navigators after the hurricane has been displacements, basic needs, food, being able to have electricity. We've encountered that even in our own program, having to have those wraparound funds and get the parents out of their crisis of being able to fulfill those basic needs so that they can start addressing the issues with their child regarding their mental health. We have 2 navigators in Lee County schools. We have 5 in Collier County schools and 1 through the healthcare network. And thankfully, all these 8 navigators that we have done immense growth and work through this program, they are more demanded because of the population. So we do have a waiting list. We want that, right? We want for people to reach out and for people to want the help. But I do see it during the population there being more need. Attendance has improved by 30%, and through attendance, we have been able to see the child go up a letter grade. So if a child has been suffering from, their grades and their performances, a lot of the times it's because they're not able to go to school. So having Kids Minds Matter, being able to provide those wraparound funds has been great growth in these children's lives, because then we fill in that gap of the need. The child's more motivated and engaged at school, their attendance goes up, their grades go up, and overall we see them succeed. A child that was on the spectrum, young kiddo, she was 5 years old. Mom was also recently a single mom. She was divorcing her husband. She's a mom of 4. And they lost their beds because they were using their beds to hold a lot of the water from the hurricane, so they lost all their beds. The kiddo was sleeping with mom and one of her other kids, and so they were sharing a bed. Because the child was on the spectrum, it just wasn't a suitable arrangement, and she did the best that she could, but just having that structure, she lost that structure and that routine that she has established with her child. With the program being involved, we were able to get new beds for all the kids. The kiddo felt really good about being in her own space once that bed was there, and she was going to bed on time, and mom was actually able to get her up in the morning, and little things that we take for granted that were affected by the hurricane, and we don't think that it would affect children so greatly, but it put her back in her routine, and she was able to go back to school and do better.
We all know there's still so much to be done to address the children's mental and behavioral health epidemic in Southwest Florida. Yet, despite the challenging circumstances kids face, we won't let any child fall through the cracks. As a great man once said, not on our watch.
I think we all need to stand up. We need to shout and say, no, not on our watch. We're not going to let another child die because of lack of services.
With the progress of the past 5 years in mind, we must face the present challenges before us. It's time to envision our future.
I'm really excited because Kids Minds Matter I know is a program that has helped, and the foundation has helped immensely for the need in this community. We just recently received 2 new educators for Collier County, which will concentrate on the prevention, educating parents, families on mental health and how they can help before it becomes an issue, before they get into crisis. We've also been able to reach over 7,000 people in the community just on our 2 educators. So knowing that there'll be 2 more added will be an amazing impact on how we can educate and demonstrate the importance of mental health and how to connect with your children.
I share Vanessa's optimism and hope you do too. Remember, a kaleidoscope is filled with broken pieces, but when they all come together, they create something beautiful. We can and will bring the pieces together and turn things around for children in Southwest Florida.